What's going on? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about financial integrity, right? Now, the other day I got an email from someone and they asked me, some advice on a particular financial issue that they were dealing with. And the question was, should they file bankruptcy over their $9,000 credit card debt, right? And I found that to be quite odd because, quite frankly, $9,000, in my opinion, is not enough or doesn't justify going through a legal proceeding to discharge debt that you don't want to pay, right? Because when you think about it, the long-term effects of a bankruptcy, let's say you're looking to get financing from a financial institution, or you're looking to do something with your credit, maybe purchase a home. There's a lot of limitations that having a bankruptcy on your credit file or, a mark on your financial reputation can have. And there's a handful of financial institutions that just simply won't deal with you if you have a bankruptcy. So I can understand if it was like a lot more, like, maybe 200,000, something that would seem insurmountable, but to file bankruptcy for $9,000 to me just does not make any sense whatsoever. And this goes back to the whole idea of, financial integrity, right? Because one thing I noticed, especially in the Black community, is that there's a huge lack of financial integrity just overall, but especially when it comes to financial integrity. And I see this sometimes even with some people who might be watching some of my videos, right? Where, they're really looking or seeking out these financial resources, not to build long-term relationships, but really to quickly extract resources, get some access to some credit, run it up, and never repay it, right? And so a couple years ago, I did a partnership with a fintech company that pretty much offered a line of credit up to $10,000, soft pull only, so they didn't hard pull your credit. And what happened was, that program got scrapped, right? They basically terminated the program because there were so many losses, because a lot of people were getting these business lines of credit with just a soft pull, or maybe they used like a fake identity and got the line of credit and ran it up, never repaid it, right? So caused a whole bunch of losses to the bank partner, right? And so this is just something that I've noticed a lot, right? This whole finesse culture. I know right now, a lot of people are going through hard economic times, but it seemed like even since the pandemic, things have sort of escalated, right? With the fraud, finessing, just short-sightedness. And one thing I wanted to, say about that is, even looking at myself, right? I became a millionaire, right? I have millions of dollars in access to credit. And the way I was able to get there was not by running off on the banks, not by running off on the plug, but by maintaining a good financial reputation, right? Paying back my debt obligations. Now, one thing a lot of people have to understand, and if you're someone who has this, finesse mindset, you gotta, really listen to what I'm about to say, right? When you pay back your financial debts, your financial obligations, let's say with a financial institution, they're going to be more willing to give you more credit, right? They're going to give you bigger limits. They're going to increase the amount that they're giving to you because you're paying them back, right? You're posing less of a risk. But one of the things that a lot of people find themselves in is that they have this short-sighted, way of thinking where they'll tarnish their financial reputation over a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s, right? Or, you'll live with bad credit for 7-10 years over a couple $1,000s. And at the end of it, is it worth it? In my opinion, it's never worth it, right? Just from, a moral standpoint, right? If you're just intentionally trying to get over or not repay your obligations. And then on top of that, when you're looking at the opportunity costs, like the opportunities that you miss out on. Now, let me explain something, right? So someone like me who has millions of dollars of access, right? I literally have millions of dollars of access, and that actually allows me to live more cheaply. or less expensive because I have what's called economies of scale. Now, what is economies of scale? Economies of scale is, let's say, when you have a certain amount of financial resources, you can get things at the wholesale level, or you're able to take advantage of ground floor opportunities. And so when you have the resources, you can just make things happen. And when you don't, you're going to have to jump through so many hurdles, and it's going to cost you more in terms of time, in terms of the actual cost of things, right? Because when you have more resources, when you have more cash, when you have more credit, things become cheaper. You know, your life becomes much more inexpensive because you can get more or less a bulk discount from having more access, right? You can buy in bulk, you could buy wholesale, you get the wholesale price. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't have access to financial resources, everything's going to be retail, right? You're going to be paying the most because you don't have enough money to make things happen. Now, I'll give you an example. So let's say I want to start a new business, right? I can draw down on lines of credit. I can use the cash I have in my accounts, and I could just make it happen, right? There's no hurdles. I don't got to, consult with anyone else. I don't have to find investors. I don't have to, loop anyone in. I don't have to be dependent on anyone else for being able to make moves. But when you don't have good credit, when you have a bad financial reputation, what do you need? You need a cosign. You need someone to vouch for you. There's a lot more hurdles that you're going to have to jump over, right? Things that for me, I can do with just, one step. Someone with bad credit, you're going to jump through hoops. Let's say you have bad credit. You're trying to rent an apartment. You're trying to buy a house. You're trying to start a business and you need funding. There's so many different things that you're going to have to overcome in order to make that happen. And so when people are out here tarnishing their financial reputation for a couple $100 or a couple $1,000, you're really holding yourself back. That's a form of you just self-inflicting wound, because you're limiting your options. When you have bad credit, you can't do what you want. When you have bad credit, you take what they give you. When you have good credit, you take what you want. You do what you want. There's no compromises. I see a lot of times people with bad credit, oh, I need a cosign, or let me try to find some roommates who, or let me try to find someone to partner with to do this. I don't have to partner with no one. I could just make things happen. You know what I'm saying? And it gives me a lot of options, right? I can go and decide which type of car I want to buy, what type of home I want to buy. I don't have to compromise. I don't have to sacrifice in terms of like giving up what I want because I don't have the means to do it. I can just go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. Having good credit gives you options. And let's talk about this. Opportunities. Let's say there's a good franchise opportunity I want to take advantage of. I can make it happen. There's no contingencies. There's no nothing. I could just make it happen. But guess what? If you don't have good credit, and most times if you don't have good credit, you're probably likely not going to have the cash either. So you're not going to be able to facilitate moves. You're going to miss out on opportunities, and it's going to stunt your growth because you're not able to act, right? One of the things that I realized a long time ago, when there were opportunities and I didn't have the money, I didn't have the credit, and a lot of these opportunities I was not able to take advantage of because I couldn't pull the trigger on whatever it is. And that's the thing. Sometimes opportunities will present themselves when you're least expecting it. So the best thing is to be fully prepared to be able to take action when these opportunities present themselves. That could be with business, that could be with real estate, right?